Okay. Oh, it's so great to be here in New York City. Today's the Salute to Israel parade. We're all excited to be walking, and we're going to take this opportunity, as we should every opportunity, to identify, confront, and crush anti-Semitism in every form. We see it on the streets. We see it inside of our schools. We see it inside of government and politics, and it has to be condemned in every form. Over the course of this past week, there was a new resolution introduced by members of the squad inside of the House of Representatives, led by Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib. They introduced a resolution to recognize formally here in the United States Nakba. They believe that it is a catastrophe that Israel was created, and they believe that it should be the United States government's position that the entire nation recognizes that the creation of the State of Israel has been a catastrophe. Quite frankly, the anti-Semitism and anti-Israel hate that we've seen from members of the squad has been the catastrophe, and we will call it out in every form, every time it manifests itself. We also saw last week at the CUNY commencement ceremony an address that was given by an anti-Semitic graduate, somebody who strongly hates Israel, who advocates for the destruction of Israel, who celebrates murders of innocent Israelis, innocent Jews. And CUNY gave this person a platform at a commencement address, and CUNY is going absolutely in the wrong direction, and I believe that CUNY needs to tackle the anti-Semitism in its ranks in many different forms. We have had Jewish students at CUNY, we've had Jewish professors at CUNY who have been harassed and intimidated. Some of our Jewish professors have left jobs that they absolutely love because the faculty administration, the association, recently advanced a new resolution, passed it, that advances the boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement. The debate inside of the faculty ranks of CUNY have led to Jewish members of the faculty, of the staff, feeling like CUNY is no longer welcoming them, and they are leaving jobs that they once loved. CUNY had an issue where almost a year ago or so, there was a person who was an educator inside of the CUNY system giving a sermon in New Jersey calling for Muslims to wipe out the filth of the Jews from Israel. This should not be inside of any higher education institution, especially a taxpayer-funded institution like CUNY. So we stand here today calling out all the anti-Semitism as it emerges inside of government at different levels, as we see it emerging inside of schools at different levels, but it's also happening on the streets of New York City. New York is leading the entire country in many of the wrong ways, one of which is the amount of anti-Semitic hate and violence taking place in and around New York City. Over the course of the last couple weeks in Brooklyn, there were 3 different Jews attacked because they're Jewish, physically assaulted, and it happened 3 times actually in 1 week. There was a rabbi, young rabbi, who was on his way to Great Neck for a service and was physically assaulted in Crown Heights. Absolutely an outrage, and we will call out the anti-Semitism and that violence. At this time, I would like to introduce Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman. I want to thank the county executive for all of his very strong leadership. Anti-Semitism will never have a home anywhere inside of Nassau County, anywhere inside of New York, as long as Bruce Blakeman has something to say about it. And I'm really grateful for everybody who is here, because you have some of the strongest voices in combating anti-Semitism inside of Nassau County. We are all here proudly for the Salute to Israel parade this morning to unequivocally call out anti-Semitism, singularly, emphatically, forcefully. We have zero tolerance for it. It will not stand. Without any further ado, the new county executive in Nassau County who's hit the ground running and made all of us so proud, Bruce Blakeman.
Thank you very much, Congressman Zeldin. I'm joined here today with representatives, elected officials from Nassau County who joined with Congressman Zeldin in denouncing the anti-Semitism that's emanating from the Democrat Party in Congress. I'm here with legislator Mazi Philip. I'm here with Councilman Anthony-BDS with Councilman Tommy Muscarella and our new Assemblyman Ari Brown. And we are here to stand behind Lee Zeldin in saying that anti-Semitism has no place in New York, has no place in America. And I am calling on Nancy Pelosi and Governor Hochul to throw those people out of the party. AOC, Omar, Ilan, people in the Democrat Party who espouse anti-Semitism through the guise of calling it anti-Zionism. They're the same thing. So when they label Israel a catastrophe, they are saying that Jews are not worthy. They are espousing ideas that create less safe communities for Jewish people. And we together, Jew and Gentile, stand together that we are not going to let that happen. And that's why we are here to thank Congressman Zeldin for his forceful leadership in Congress. And now we are hoping that he goes on to greater heights. We're confident that he will, so that we can bring this up to Albany and the national stage, that we are not going to tolerate this anti-Semitism. We're not going to tolerate it institutionalized at the City University of New York, and definitely not in the halls of Congress. Thank you, Congressman Zeldin.
Thank you, County Executive Blakeman. We have all levels of government represented here, federal, state, county, town, and how excited are all of we that New York State Assemblyman Ari Brown was recently elected to a state assembly district inside of Nassau County. He is someone who is going to be an amazing state assemblyman, and we're really excited that he's here today. Without any further ado, New York State Assemblyman Ari Brown.
Thank you, Congressman Zeldin and County Executive Bruce Blakeman, for always being at the forefront to defend the Jewish people in the state of Israel. I'll be working hard in the Assembly to help push forward the legislation that was passed in the State Senate that was not passed in our Assembly for the anti-BDS rules and legislation that didn't go through. Thank you for putting this together. This is my 50th year coming to these parades, and difficult times, but with new leadership in the governor and in the county executive, we'll see this through together. Thank you.
There was an executive order that Governor Cuomo had signed, and when we saw Unilever and Ben & Jerry's advancing the boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement, what we should have seen is that right away it would have gotten added to New York State's list. New York should not be doing business with Unilever and Ben & Jerry's. This was an executive order that should be law in New York State, and we should have seen stronger leadership to condemn these actions. This is something that is an executive order that needs to become statute. Next, I would like to introduce County Legislator Mazi Philip. Nassau County Legislator Mazi Philip is someone who served as a paratrooper with the IDF. Her story is as inspirational as it gets. She is someone we are so proud of for being a strong, courageous voice, but she knows personally just how important this issue is to fight with all of our passion and our principle, and I'm just so grateful that she stepped up to serve. Mazi Philip.
Thank you, Congressman Zeldin. Thank you, County Executive Bruce Blakeman, and all my colleagues in the government. Today we are here to send a clear message. We, United States of America, standing behind Israel. We will support Israel. Any anti-Israel and anti-Jew statement is unacceptable. So thank you for joining me. We love Israel. God bless Israel. God bless United States of America.
Councilman Anthony-BDS comes from law enforcement. He's seen it on the streets. He is someone who hopefully will soon be serving at even greater capacity. He understands that public service is about serving the public, and not being served by the public. And I'm grateful he's here. Town Councilman Anthony D'Esposito.
Thank you, Congressman. Today we're here in New York City to celebrate our love of Israel. But we're also here to call out those who spew hate. And that hate is spewed from the halls of Capitol Hill, and that hate is spewed from our leaders, or lack of leaders, in Albany. As the Congressman mentioned, our CUNY system, over the last couple of months, first they announced that they were going to have a convicted cop killer, an assassin, speak on campus. Now, they have addresses by anti-Semites. We have members of Congress spewing hate. Like the county executive said, we're calling on leadership in Congress to remove those members of the squad from any leadership positions. And ladies and gentlemen, in the times that we're in our nation and in our state, you need individuals that are battle ready to take on this hate. And we have someone in Lee Zeldin who is battle ready. He is battle ready to go up to Albany and take on every bit of hate and every bit of destruction that the Democrats are causing in the Empire State. And me, a retired NYPD detective, I've walked the streets of this city, and I too am battle ready. I've dismantled gangs here in New York City, and I can't wait to get to Washington, D.C. to dismantle one more gang, and that's AOC and the squad.
Thank you again, Mr. County Executive. All the electeds are here, community leaders as well. We're going to go march now in the Salute to Israel parade. We're just so excited and honored to be part of this event today in what is a beautiful morning day here in New York City. So grateful for everybody who turned out here in Manhattan. There are thousands strong lining up the parade route, and we're looking forward to seeing each and every one of them, and with a renewed inspiration to strengthen what is our great alliance with an amazing nation of Israel. It's something for us to celebrate each and every day, the positive of that relationship, and part of our efforts to strengthen this alliance, to celebrate the positive of this relationship, is to do our part to be calling out, condemning, and eradicating what are the negative influences, the people who are creating cultures inside of government, inside of school, physical assaults on our streets. The raw, violent hate has no business anywhere in our county, our towns, our state, and in our nation. And this is a group here with me this morning, determined to do absolutely everything in their power to call it out and crush it in every form, and I'm so grateful for them. Thank you all for being here.